Hallöchen, willkommen zurück zu Head as Code. Im letzten Part haben wir mit A, dem alten Mann, einen kleinen Ausflug zum Labor gemacht und dort hat er uns seine ganze Lebensgeschichte erzählt und eine Fernbedienung geschenkt, die wir jetzt haben, denn die ist plotrelevant. Die brauchen wir, um die Tür zu öffnen, die im Labor versteckt war und nicht aufging. Also versteckt nicht, aber sie geht nicht auf. Und jetzt sind wir der Protagonist komplett und wir gehen zurück zur Lounge, wo hoffentlich alle jetzt sind, also auch die Zwillinge. Wir werden sehen. Having said all that need to be said, our travel back to the lounge was quiet. Dot, 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 dot. Oh. We came back to the lounge, where everybody else was waiting. Jasmine greeted us first. You were gone for quite a while. Many of us wondered if we should just go ahead and keep exploring, since it looked as if you'd gone to do that. I didn't mind being checked by Jasmine this time, but it was still slightly embarrassing. Despite that, I remember what A had told me. We shouldn't share information. We took a long stroll. What can I say? How about we take a small pause and then head out afterwards?
Sounds good to me. Okay, that's fine, but not too long. There's little to do here anymore, and unlike you two, we've been holding up here the whole time.
This was just my investigation. Disguised as an offer to take a bit of a longer break. I need to keep watch for anything that could point me in the direction of the accomplice, if they even existed. I want to find Smiley just like A, but it was still difficult to trust the old man. For one, he didn't trust me with his name, despite knowing mine, did he? At least he hadn't blackmailed me with it. Most of all, I want to leave this place alive with my friends.
I don't really want to go into the details, but there was a group of people at school who kept doing weird stuff.
She was staring at H as if trying to accuse her of something, but I disregarded their little talk about their school disputes. I wanted solid material. I left them alone with Marco and A. Still, the fact I've been harassed by the cool guys during my own bad time at school might have played a part in why I was this afraid of things. The more I tried to chase the thought of the secret room from my mind, the more curious I grew. I thought about it. Anything to take my mind off the other subject. I shouldn't have given it that much attention, and instead focused on simply getting out of here, but I had an irresistible desire to know. It was like if you were giving a box with a button on top. If you're told not to press it, wouldn't you get the desire to do so to see what would happen? The natural course of action is to not take unnecessary risk, so you wouldn't push it, of course. That's the safest path, and nothing would happen. You'd simply resume your normal life. But there's a ghost that will haunt you from this day onward. If the encounter had been memorable, you'll keep wondering, what if I had pushed the button? Maybe I would have gained riches beyond my understanding. Maybe I would have gained immortality. Maybe I would have gained superpowers. Maybe it's just a button that did nothing at all. Curiosity killed the cat. I knew that proverb. I didn't care for the fixed version that said satisfaction brought it back. This proverb was a warning that if you ran headfirst into your curiosity, you might suffer from it. A bit like, if you learn something, you can't unlearn it. If I didn't check what's in there, it would nag at me internally. But it was definitely dangerous. Which one was the worst fate? So as long as I didn't run headfirst into an abyss of darkness.
So, did anyone find anything regarding the ninth person?
This took me out of my daydream. Right, the ninth person. I glanced over at A, who didn't even step back in my direction.
If we didn't, I'd like to head out now to investigate other places. There are stations we haven't searched yet.
That's correct. According to the map the twins have found.
He took it out of his bag. Most likely he'd taken possession of it when he spoke with their twins. It seemed A had more success in his investigation than I had. All eyes on him, he continued.
There are a number of stations left to check. Namely, in the western direction, we have 3 stations. The pool, the rec room, which I assume stands for recreation, and the reactor.
That sounds dangerous.
Indeed. Indeed. In the other direction, east and northward, we have 2 more stations. The church!
Church? Eine Kirche? Was? Was macht eine Kirche hier unten? Komplett bescheuert. And the Theater. Und Theater, natürlich. Was denn sonst? Ein Theater, natürlich.
In total, that makes 5. Which, even if we split up and covered them all, would leave one to be seen.
I thought something was wrong with this map. There were a lot of more stations than this in the metro. Did Smiley just run out of themes? If each location was themed around a single thing, then maybe that was the case. Perhaps his influence only extended to this much.
It's possible that, if we're looking for a ninth person, they may have been tasked with our avoidance, meaning they may be on the move as well.
That's assuming Smiley spoke to them too, I think.
Well, no. Think about it. If they're Smiley, they want to avoid capture. If they're an accomplice of Smiley, they will want to avoid us as well. The only scenario where the ninth person would want to be found would be if it was one among us and we're all here. All 8 of us.
So your plan would be to have us all move around?
Close. I think we should go westward with 3 teams while a 4th one goes through the stations on the other side. If they keep watch on the one furthest away, the ninth person won't be able to avoid them. Any objections?
Nobody spoke. I didn't know what he thought of this plan, but he resumed before I could ask her. I frowned a little. He was moving a little quickly. I thought he might have wanted to personally inspect everyone else to make sure they weren't Smiley or his accomplices.
Very good then. Let us form the teams.
I wanted to go explore a new room, so I figured he'd take E, leaving me to go with someone else. The team on guard duty would most likely involve E because there would be no puzzle room to solve. However, he requested to go with H, to which G vehemently opposed.
I'd rather go with my sister, if that's an issue.
Understandable that there is an issue. I have come to the conclusion that we will be better off pairing with others we're less familiar with. It might give us insight we would have never gotten otherwise.
He flashed a reassuring smile. The twin ended up agreeing.
Fine. I get what we're all in this together, and if we want to leave, we'll need every bit of knowledge we can get. As long as I don't have to go with the pink witch.
Jasmine shrugged at everyone else under the nickname. While G, Ray, Marco, and Jasmine deliberated on who would pair up together, A approached me and suggested something interesting.
I believe you should go with E. I know you may want to explore another station, but please keep an eye on her and go through the ones we already explored. She won't be very helpful in the puzzle room, and that way you can make sure nobody forgot to find something, either voluntarily or not.
By the time I nodded, the deliberations coming from the other 4 were over. So I go with J then. I got something to ask her. Nothing big, but it might as well be done. Trying to find out what links us all are. Trying to find out what links us all here too. Something like that. No, shut up! A bit of heat rushed to my head, as if I was getting angry. Partially, I was also envy. I didn't want to go with Jasmine, but I understood that the weight of what I knew.
I'm okay with it, and that way, G can go with M.
The 2 others looked at each other. Marco looked extremely awkward. Despite his usual, most likely fake confidence, he was really bad at meeting new people, especially if they weren't in his age range.
Then it's settled! Let us make way for the train. Although I suppose our 4th group might want to go the other way. Yes! A wink! A wink!
Why's that?
S and E have been elected for guard duty while we explore those 3 stations.
I clenched my teeth. That's what you decided, you duplicious old man. Oh well, in the end, I wasn't too angry, but I understood him a little better. He really liked spinning words in his favor.
So long as you don't stick to the train for too long, or else I'll take you somewhere you can come back from. Once our 3 teams are done, we'll go back and fetch you.
Yeah. Hopefully that's fine. Let's go already. The earlier we go, the earlier we're out.
All of them left after brief farewells, leaving the two of us alone. In a way, I wasn't too mad about going out with E, though wording it that way was embarrassing on some level. Die Sache ist, I sitzt da die ganze Zeit, hört nix, kriegt nix gesagt, ist blind, sieht nix und denkt sie so,
Wo sind alle?
okay. I explained the situation to her since A neglected doing it. It took many papers, and it was long and laborious. In the middle of it, I heard the train come and go downstairs. Finally, I finished telling her everything. As I heard no train pass by, the ninth person wouldn't be getting by us yet. Still, I remember what 8 had told me. The ninth person may very well be stationary too. I didn't truly believe they were mobile, so I was probably going to explore a station regardless.
Let us go now. We have wasted enough time. The others have been gone for a while, right?
Even if she couldn't see me, I nodded. Force of habit. I took her to the other side of the station, down the stairs, into the lobby. Beyond it was the station. Motto, geh weg!
Geh weg.
Nicht krabbeln! Fliegen! Then we waited for the train in silence. I had very little to tell her. Instead, I tried to think about how I would tackle this strange endeavor. I wanted to try and unlock the door, but with limited chances, it wouldn't go so well. Re-exploring the station was also a waste of time, so I ignored it on our trajectory. Instead, we were going to explore... Crud, I forgot what the next one was. The official name was something or another, but what was there again? According to the maps, the old man had them, and I forgot what it was. When the train arrived, I stepped in with E. This entire trip would be a little boring. I didn't really have anything to tell E at the moment, and nothing much happened. Ah, der Zug geht los. The door's closed. Security. As the train left the station, I suddenly remembered what it would be. Right, it was a secretary. Security, nicht secretary, security room. Secretary? Was ist das für ein Wort? Security! The footage from the cameras looked pretty interesting and to search. Maybe I'd find some secret. Knowledge is power, huh? If I learned something I wanted to know, maybe I could use that and get him to admit everything he's doing. Need to know basis my ass. I grumbled to myself in Ray fashion before the train came to a stop. Grabbing his hand, I pulled her out of the train and we both made for the staircase. Suddenly, I felt a shiver. This was dangerous. I didn't know anything of what was up the staircase. We could only be 2 at these stations, so I wrote 3 onto the paper. I didn't want her to come up. It may have been slightly more dangerous to leave her down here, but it wouldn't be good if she came up and we all got beheaded because the ninth person was there. She nodded to me, understanding, and I was off into the lobby. Du lässt eine blinde Taube alleine? What the fuck? Up the stairs. And finally, in the room proper. It had tons of screens. The twins solved this room, but I couldn't tell exactly what they did. In the middle of the room, there was a computer. I tried accessing it, and I found some files. There was a second room, and I get to it, but this seemed promising. I found many files, but they were all named gibberish, and they were all encoded too. I couldn't watch any of them, even if they clearly were video footage. What is this screen looking at? What am I seeing? There was only one screen turned on, and the footage showed part of a spacious room. There was a large arc right in front of the camera. On it hung some kind of hooked object. Nothing was happening in the view. I figured no one went through that room. Either the theater or the church then. I went to check the other room next to this one, but seeing as it was full of electronics, I decided to cut to the chase and leave to head back down the station. Sure, there were electronics, but nothing was functional. When solved, that room probably shut down on its own. Back downstairs, I passed the paper over to E, explained the situation and what was upstairs. She giggled at my predicament. I didn't know what was so funny.
Do you like spying on people while they don't know you're around? Don't worry, your secret's safe with me.
I blushed a little at the accusation. Was this the time for teasing? What's up with these women doing this to me all the time? First Jasmine, now E. I took her hand to pull her over as the train arrived.
Oh, are we done here? No more spying?
If this had been Marco, I would have punched his shoulder. Dot, 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 dot. Ah, das Labor. Even though I had said I wouldn't leave that at the science lab, I did anyway for very cursory research. As I thought, nothing new was there. Dot, 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 dot. The next one was the one A had previously investigated. I thought it was a bit of a useless search, but I went to it anyway. The room was full of beds, supplies of the medical kind, and so on and so forth. I didn't know how to use any of the devices in this room. I decided not to try even if I felt that curious need pulling at me again. There was still no sign of a password. I found various items like a tablet, but it wasn't in order. Some other things stood out. Remnants of the puzzle they had to solve here. I reclined on the bed for a minute or so. It was rather comfortable. Still, I had a job to do, so I left the area and went down to the lobby. Just like the other stations, he had been left downstairs. Poor girl must have grown fairly bored by now. Maybe they explained why she teased me, not just once, but every time I came back down and told her about what I found.
Oh, I know all this. I came to this room earlier with Agnes. He solved most of it, but I did help a little. He let me touch an object, and I guess it had to do with opening a door, due to the button layout. The bag had some braille too, even if he didn't let me read that part.
I was surprised. First of all, now I knew the old man's name, but also, she hadn't teased me. Not only that, but I also learned the dots on the back of that remote with braille. She was a gold mine of information.
But you should have taken me up there too. Given my state, I need an operation stat. You can be the doctor, right?
She smiled and hid the toffee behind her hand. Perhaps I hadn't avoided the tease in the end. Ich liebe sie. I love E! E ist toll! E ist mein Lieblingscharakter bisher. I sighed in the face of all this while grabbing her hand and pulling her over to the train. Since it had arrived, it was time to head to the final station before I could explore a new one. In the station, I took a seat much like E did. I crossed my arms and decided to think over the subject of her name. Her names of Agnes finally become revealed to me. Agnes. Agnos. Agnot. Agnos. Come to think of it, I thought Jasmine was the one who came up with the nicknames. At the time, it sort of made sense. I could understand the point, but now it didn't make sense. Oh, gymnasium. Next station, gymnasium. Why would you want to hide her name? Or my name? They weren't really rare names. It wouldn't really identify us, except for Agnes. That was a weird name. Jasmine had made them up at his suggestion. It wasn't like I knew E, G, and H name either. Maybe it was also a problem for one of them. Ich sag mal, G ist wahrscheinlich sowas wie Greta oder Gretchen und H ist like Haley oder Heather. I was curious, but I didn't feel right asking the first of that lineup. I had the opportunity, but neither of the courage or the willingness to be rude. I didn't want to ruin her companionship. She was comfortable. Not really nice, not really annoying, just comfortable. That was the best way to describe how I felt with her around. She was very soothing and calm, and I don't know, she was interesting. How many hours had it been since I arrived here? It must have been a few at least. That sandwich I found and consumed was fairly far in the past now. Come to think of it, I blindly trusted that sandwich, didn't I? What if it had been poisoned? I shuddered at the thought, while I waited for the train to arrive at the last of the 4 stations we were to explore. Ist die Mission da? Unfortunately, I spent a little too long thinking about it. In my daydream and my eagerness to reach the next station, I didn't realize it had already stopped there. By the time I did, the speaker spoke again. Next station, Iglis? Crap! If the 9th person was at the gym station, then they would have avoided my notice. What were the chances of them being there anyway? What were the chances of there being a mobile person at all? The train stopped momentarily. I disembarked with Lee, and then I explained to her how this wasn't an old station, but a new one, using a piece of paper which came from a quickly dwindled supply in my back.
Oh, that sounds good for me still. Sorry about all this trouble, having to lug me around like a useless person. I hope I will be more of service soon.
Oh, du bist süß, ich liebe dich. Come to think of it, I couldn't really tell her age, but she looked remarkably young. I did believe she was the slightly older adult, so maybe she was still in her late 20s? I wondered what she did. Did she study? Did she have a job? I wanted to ask her, but in the immediate, I couldn't do it. We need to hurry up if we want to solve this room quickly. I'll ask her after we're done here. We entered the lobby. The door closed behind us as usual. Oh, okay, ein neuer Raum, ein neues Rätsel. Aber das werde ich im nächsten Part lösen, denn ich glaube, das ist ein guter Punkt zum Stoppen. Wir haben erneut Informationen bekommen. Wir haben jetzt mit ihr ein bisschen Zeit abgehangen. Wir haben den Namen von A erfahren. Wir haben ein paar neue Räume, ein paar alte Räume gesehen. Also allgemein recht gut, finde ich eigentlich. Gut. Ich danke wieder fürs Dasein, fürs Schreiben und fürs Zugucken. Und wenn ihr abonniert habt, fürs Abonnieren. Und wir sehen uns beim nächsten Mal dann bei Hades Code. Tschüss.